Hey, this is Zulem Urbina, and tune into the relay for the latest news in boxing all around the world. Thank you for supporting myself and other female boxers. We truly appreciate it.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. Another look at Claressa Shields' upcoming ascendance to what is the heavyweight division, or the light heavyweight division, however you want to put it.
We talked about the belt situation.
The chicanery. Now we'll talk about the matchup. We'll talk about the fight. The fight itself, I don't mind. She will be facing current reigning WBC heavyweight champion Vanessa Joanisse of Canada, 29 years old, the same age as Claressa Shields.
Vanessa became WBC heavyweight champion in her last fight opposite the ring, April Vidal.
Even though Vanessa is the heavier fighter, she's not the taller, longer fighter. The night of, Claressa will have a height advantage, a reach advantage, and an obvious speed advantage, as Claressa is one of the faster fighters out there, sporting an unblemished record of 14 wins with no losses, no draws, 2 knockouts, to Vanessa Joanisse, who sports a professional record of 7 wins with 1 loss, no draws, 2 knockouts, having been knocked out once in 8 professional bouts. Vanessa last saw action earlier this year in March for what was the vacant WBC heavyweight title. She won a split decision over April Vidal. Claressa's been out a lot longer. Claressa last saw action in June of last year opposite the ring, a late replacement in Marisela Cornejo. She won a unanimous decision. It's been a year. It's been a year since that fight.
Why was she out so long?
It's because of what I'm always telling you. I don't doubt that if there were more opportunities for Claressa to fight at these weights, then she would fight. But the fact of the matter is, there are barely any girls campaigning at these weights, which is what makes Claressa Shields' greatest woman of all time claim a baseless claim. It's easy to look dominant when the talent pool has no depth and when there's nobody around.
There's nobody to fight.
That's why even though both her and Katie Taylor debuted the same year as professionals, Katie Taylor fights a lot more than Claressa does because there's more depth.
There are a lot more fighters, better ones, at the lower weights than what you find at 160, 168, in this instance, heavyweight.
Vanessa Joanisse is one of very few fighters you can find at these weights that actually has ability. So the night of the fight, Vanessa Joanisse will definitely be the naturally heavier fighter, heavy in terms of weight, though in terms of height and length, Claressa will still have those advantages. Claressa stands in at about 5'8", 5'9", whereas Vanessa Joanisse is a very modest 5'6".
Portly.
Reviewing the tape on Vanessa Joanisse in action, almost immediately you can see she's going to be the aggressor and Claressa is going to be the defender. That Vanessa Joanisse is going to barrel forward, trying to throw punches and bunches and crowding the pocket.
I like her hooks. I like her body shots. I like her inside work. I like her aggression.
And this is where it may turn out to be a bit of a contest, because Claressa Shields, for all of her virtues and her ability and her speed and her boxing acumen, she ain't got no fucking pop. She ain't got no power.
None.
Vanessa Joanisse is a fighter who is accustomed, acclimated to facing naturally bigger and heavier women than Claressa Shields.
So Vanessa's going to do her best to turn this into a brawl where Claressa's going to try to keep it a boxing match using her speed and her mobility, her height and her length.
Because she's faster on her feet than Vanessa Joanisse, faster hands. She's going to try to keep distance where Vanessa's going to try to close it.
Get inside on Claressa.
And if she can, things have the potential to get interesting. I remember it was mid-range to inside that Henna Gabriel's, a shorter, stumpier fighter like Vanessa is a shorter, stumpier fighter. It was mid-range to inside that Henna Gabriel's landed an uppercut that floored Claressa Shields for the first time in her career in the exchange.
If Vanessa can get inside on Claressa, maybe she can make a fight out of all this. I don't mind the fight. I don't mind the opponent.
Could get interesting, but Claressa Shields is still the sizable favorite going in. Even though she's never fought as a light heavyweight, or a heavyweight for that matter, she'll be the favorite with the odds makers.
Claressa Shields on points is the likeliest outcome. That she'll be too fast, too mobile, too agile for Vanessa.
But Claressa doesn't knock people out, so Claressa on points seems the likeliest outcome. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, late yesterday, Blaire Cobbs took on former 4-division champion Adrien Broner in a fight that I predicted Broner would lose.
You did?
In passing, I did during one of the live streams. I couldn't be bothered to dedicate an entire segment to an Adrien Broner fight, even one that I felt he might lose. Time is a luxury I would rather not waste on an Adrien Broner fight, though given the aesthetic of yesterday's contest,
I suppose that I can take a little bit of time out to say that this guy's finished. He's done.
washed up. Though Adrien Broner being washed up is hardly a revelation. I already thought that before this weekend's contest. In the fight, we saw Blaire Cobbs. Blaire Cobbs, the southpaw, who leads with his right in order to set up his left, land a massive left hand right down the pipe that sent Adrien Broner to the canvas, and
He knocked one of Broner's teeth out.
this was very early in the fight, and it set the tone for it that Adrien Broner, however talented he used to be, he's not that anymore, and he was struggling to keep up with and keep on Blaire Cobbs, who was moving around, using the ring, walking Broner into punches, and being busier throughout. It was the same story.
It's the same as any other Adrien Broner fight.
He just does a lot of posing and posturing instead of throwing punches. So after he got knocked down hard early in the fight, he starts trying to apply pressure on Blaire Cobbs, who's moving lateral, circling Broner, and getting off punches while he does it. Still being busier than Broner, even though he's the one on the defensive.
He's still regularly throwing more, landing more, as Adrien tries to close the distance and get off some punches.
This was the story of the fight. Now, in those rare moments where Adrien throws a punch, where he throws a punch and he actually lands a punch, you could see that he still had some pop. He still had some power.
Power is the last thing to go. That's what they say.
I would say that Adrien still has some durability because he survived that early scare and managed to finish the fight on his feet, but
Just because you go to distance with Blaire Cobbs doesn't mean you're durable. Another fighter like a Joanisse or a Conor Ben, just somebody who's more capable and more inspired, they probably would have knocked Broner out.
not gonna sit here and say that Broner's durable here today just because Blaire Cobbs couldn't finish him.
Come on.
I could only really give Adrien Broner 1 or 2 rounds out of the 10. This was mostly Blaire Cobbs just outworking Adrien Broner and out-hustling Adrien Broner.
Broner was too inactive within a round, not throwing enough punches, and too slow on his feet.
Trying to keep up with and keep on Blaire Cobbs, trying to apply pressure, though ultimately being ineffective most of the fight.
He lost wide.
On social media, I saw some people reacting to the fight, saying it's so sad what Adrien Broner has become. I don't look at it as sad.
It's not a Greek tragedy to me.
I feel and have felt that Adrien Broner has been done at world level for many, many years now, going all the way back to the Mikey Garcia fight in 2017. It was there I drew that conclusion that Adrian's not going to beat anybody good. He's not going to beat anybody who can fight
With ability.
with a pulse, because he has this very lazy approach to boxing, this minimalist approach. He does his best impersonation of Floyd Mayweather, fighting out of a Philly shell without doing any actual fighting, not throwing enough punches.
It's been that way for years.
been a quasi-retired fighter for years. He only fought once in 2018, once in 2019. He didn't fight at all in 2020, then once again in 2021. Once again, he didn't fight at all in 2022. He fought once last year and once this one.
So what's that, 5 fights in 7 years?
And it's not for lack of opportunity. It's for lack of trying, because I can remember Regis Prograis wanted to fight Adrien Broner, but Adrien would not entertain him. He wouldn't oblige him. I remember that Eddie Hearn made Adrien Broner not 1, but 2 offers to fight Conor Ben, and Adrien rejected both.
Likely for more money than what he made yesterday, getting outclassed by Blaire Cobbs.
Because what do you imagine Don King has been paying Adrien Broner to fight the likes of a part-time boxer in Bill Hutchinson or Blaire Cobbs?
Peanuts.
That Adrien Broner did not parlay his free agency into a 7-figure payday, and he likely didn't.
Do you remember when Rock Nation offered him something like $40 million and he responded by telling Jay-Z to suck his dick?
That was years ago. Years later, Eddie Hearn makes him not 1, but 2 offers to fight Conor Ben, and these were likely 7-figure offers, on the low end of 7 figures.
But still 7, and still more than what he's been making.
He rejected those offers just to end up here, to end up looking like this. Adrien Broner has always been a poser. He's always been a wannabe, a knockoff Floyd Mayweather that had neither the discipline nor the talent. No, I don't think it's a Greek tragedy that he went in there yesterday and got outclassed by Blaire
He
Cobbs.
did his very best. He was a Mayweather impersonator, kind of like how when you're in Vegas you see Elvis impersonators. That's what Broner was.
A Floyd Mayweather impersonator. A Floyd Mayweather wannabe. I don't actually think Adrien Broner was ever all that good. In spite of him being a 4-division champion, who did he beat? in 4 divisions. What is his signature win?
When they talk about Adrien, they talk about how he was a champion at 4 weights.
As if that by itself is what makes him skilled. No, it matters who you beat. For the 4 titles that you won across 4 divisions, who did you have to go through? Because that's what tells us who you are.
Who did you beat?
All I can remember of Adrien is how he got beat. Every single time he stepped up, he got beat by Sean Porter, beat by Marcos Maidana.
Mikey Garcia.
He should have got beat by Adrien Granados. He should have got beat by Jesse Vargas and Giovanni Santiago. Those were fights where
He lost.
looked like he lost, but he got the nod.
He got a gift.
I don't think Adrien Broner was ever an elite level boxer.
Nope.
That's why Manny Pacquiao looked like he was up there in age with Jeff Horn, but he looked like he found the fountain of youth with you.
Because you suck.
You always did. The highlight of Adrien Broner's career aren't the fights that he had, but the press conferences.
He's the king of talking a good one.
Captain Mediocre with a big M across his chest. There is no lament for the career of Adrien Broner. Not here. Not while he's terrorizing Uber drivers when he's in his mid-30s and he's behaving like a child or picking fights with Alicia Baumgartner over who her sexual partners are. You're not one of them, so who gives a shit?
You're a clown.
He was always a clown. His career has been slugging along for the better portion of the last 10 years because for the last 7, he's been washed up.
Finish.
I love watching him get punched in his fucking face.
Just mad Blaire didn't knock him out.
Finally, in men's super middleweight news, ahead of the upcoming Alexander Vajdik fight, David Benavidez says the Canelo Alvarez fight is looking more realistic.
We're still talking about that.
David Benavidez believes his long-desired dance against Canelo Alvarez is inching closer to reality. Alvarez seemingly priced himself out when he called for $200 million to face Benavidez, but the undisputed super middleweight champion's overtures have not been outright shut down.
I think people are being disingenuous with that figure because that was just a random figure he threw out there. It was a hypothetical.
Though in the digital era, in the pursuit of metrics, they'll take almost any quote and repurpose it into clickbait.
Even when it's just a passing thought.
I feel like it's gonna happen soon. I don't know how soon, but it's looking more realistic, Benavidez told Boxing Scene. I think Canelo might end up getting his $200 million, and we might be getting the fight that we all want. It's exciting news for us. We just have to stay working hard and be ready for the opportunity when the opportunity comes. Alvarez and Benavidez's teams have been unable to reach a deal in recent years. A fight between them would likely require funding from Saudi Arabian boxing power broker Turki Al-Sheikh, chairman of the country's General Sports Authority. When we had first negotiated, they said they wanted to give me a flat fee of $5 million. I was perfectly fine with it, said Benavidez. Right now, the way I take these fights, I don't really look at the money. The money is not important for me.
Maybe it's not important for you, but it's important to Samson Lukowicz.
And he's the one who makes your fights, not you. Benavidez continued, right now, the way I take these fights, I don't really look at the money. The money's not important for me. What's important for me is that I do my job 100% and the money is going to follow. I'm not really worried about how much money I'm going to get because after I beat Canelo, that's when the money and everything else comes. As of right now, I'm not looking at this fight as a one-fight cash-out deal. It's after I beat him, he will want a rematch, and that's when I will become a pay-per-view star.
It's real easy to say that he's not worried about the money. He's not. But the people who negotiate on his behalf, they are. Why do you think Samson Lukowicz?
A few weeks ago, him and Eddie Hearn had a dialogue, and what he told Eddie Hearn is that he would want to split the rights to the fight even if DAZN were representing Canelo.
What?
No, Samson says, oh, we'll fight him for free, we'll, you know, all this kind of general stuff. I said, look, if Canelo works with us, we'll make the fight with Benavidez. And he went, yes, no problem, just give us the US TV on Amazon. I'm like, what? No, mate. If Canelo comes with us on DAZN, and DAZN are putting up the money for Munguia and Berlanga and all these people, DAZN are going to put up the money for Benavidez. What? Mate, you're a challenger. Do you want to fight the king? Or you just only if it works with your promoter?
So don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. Don't tell me you don't care about the money. Somebody does.
Why else would you kill yourself to make 168 again? Benavidez said he would return to 168 when Canelo is ready for the fight. He added that he would be open to a rehydration clause, but not a catchweight. Whatever the terms are, as long as it's not ridiculous, I just want to make the fight happen, said Benavidez. If he's really not scared of me, he's really going to knock me out or does whatever he says he's going to do, there shouldn't be a catchweight. He didn't do a rehydration rehydration clause with Dimitri Bivol, but if he wants me to do a rehydration clause, I'll do it. But I won't do a catchweight clause. 168 pounds is really hard to get to. If he's confident in his skills, then let's put it to the test, and may the best man win.
Even without a catchweight or a rehydration clause, it's gonna be really hard for David to get down there.
Okay, we have to ask. What do you walk around when you're not?
I
in
walk
camp?
around like 200.
200.
Tamale season?
Tamale season. Burger season.
It's what I've been telling you. This guy walks around, he's a cruiserweight. To make 168,
He's got to lose over 32 pounds.
Canelo Alvarez previously told Boxing Scene that he's not interested in forcing Benavidez to agree to a rehydration clause. Benavidez is adamant that he'll be moving on with his career with or without Canelo. I've been kind of done with 168. I earned the opportunity to fight Canelo, but since I'm not getting that fight, there is really no other fight at 168. I want to test 175, and this is the perfect opportunity against Vajdik, said Benavidez. I want to be the 168-pound, 175-pound, and cruiserweight champion. When we get to the cruiserweight gate, we'll see if we can make it to heavyweight. Maybe that'll be something.
That's just another way of saying he outgrew the weight.
That if he could keep making super middleweight comfortably, he would, but he can't because he's been there for over 10 years and he walks around at over 200 pounds.
Some people might call him a weight bully.
Some people, I wouldn't, because like I've been telling you, cutting that much weight, it can be a disadvantage over time. It can weaken you.
Losing that much weight that fast and being expected to perform.
The current situation between Canelo Alvarez and William Scull, what is his IBF mandatory challenger, that's been postponed till June 13th. Sources told ESPN. Alvarez, boxing's top star, is the undisputed champion at 168. He's mulling over his options here. I'm told, faced with being stripped of one of his 4 titles or facing an unknown opponent.
Questions that need answers.
David's about to fight Alexander Vojdik. Is he gonna beat that guy?
Questions that need answers.
And even if he does, would he be ready to face Canelo Alvarez in September, assuming that's when Canelo wants to return?
175 in June to 168 in September, that's a very short amount of time for a guy who walks around at 200 pounds.
David says he thinks that the fight is close, and people are assuming that Turki Al-Sheikh could make it happen, but what Turkey wants is a Canelo versus Crawford fight for David. He seems to want David to stay at 175 to face the winner of Better Be versus Bivol.
That's what he wants.
So when David says he thinks the fight is close and it might happen, is that reality or is that just wishful thinking? Because underneath it all, I do think he would prefer to face Canelo than the winner of Better Be versus Bivol. Of course he would prefer to face the naturally smaller, older fighter, because those are the kind of guys that he's been fighting.
You still think Canelo beats him?
I do, because David walks around at around 200 pounds, 200 or more.
You ain't fought no punchers.
If this guy plants one on you, you're not going to take it as well as you take punches from a Plant or an Andre. My feelings haven't changed.